Now, I'll get to Charlie. Charlie is from South Africa. And Charlie, tell me about your product. From what I've seen of it, it's called Eduze.
Correct.
Yes, and it's a digital platform consisting of Wi-Fi and super Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And some people would actually get confused. What is the product about?
Well, the issue that we found in Africa and other emerging markets is people are rapidly adopting smartphones. But in many cases they can maybe afford the smartphone, but often they can't afford the high data costs, or if they can afford the high data, they've never used or haven't very often used the internet. So they're very unfamiliar with that. So what we've created is basically content libraries, a special hardware box that we can install really anywhere. It can run off solar, it can run off 12 volts, so it can go in taxis and buses and trains. It can run off 240 volts, so it can go in shopping malls, fast food restaurants. And it delivers a range of content, music, movies, games, websites, apps, completely free with no data costs to the users.
Right. And from what I read about it is that, it has a lot to do with the support and also the radius. Tell me about the radius of this
Sure. Well, our standard box, which goes in buses and taxis, has a radius of about 75 meters just to cover the taxi and anyone in a taxi rank, for example. But then we have partnerships with super Wi-Fi technology companies. And super Wi-Fi, there's two types. There's super Wi-Fi, which operates on 800 megahertz, which is wideband frequency, which is the old analog TV frequency. And a lot of large telcos use that grade of super Wi-Fi. For our usage, we use unlicensed bands, which are the traditional Wi-Fi bands of 2.4 and 5 gigahertz.
Right.
And the technology that we use can stretch what is a normal Wi-Fi network that you'd find in a home or an office, can stretch it about to 20 square kilometers. So the idea is that we could install one of our content servers on the top of a shopping mall in a town, and pretty much anyone in that town will be able to access that content. So it almost becomes like a digital library that anyone can access from anywhere they are.
Right. And how long did it take for you to come up with this product?
It pivoted a number of times. So we started as being a music streaming platform, and my history is in music and TV, but it was almost impossible to it's very difficult to try and clear music for Africa. And then we actually, when we were playing around with the idea, we realized that really, for emerging markets, it's a much more fundamental vision of what digital content should be. Streaming music is great and a wonderful thing, but at the same time, there's a huge amount of educational content, developmental content, news, community that needs to be spread out there that a lot of people in developed markets take for granted because they can get it on the internet all the time. So we really wanted to offer that sort of experience to an emerging market audience.
Right. That we should discuss is what do you think are the challenges that technology developers do face? I'll start with Charlie.
First up is obviously infrastructure, but it's also what creates the opportunity for a lot of us. I think it's very difficult, even when we experience Wi-Fi issues during the conference, which was just one of those things that is impossible to control. It re-supports the reason why we're doing what we're doing. Every time I Skype with an investor or a partner overseas and the Skype disappears because my internet is so bad, when I reconnect with them and I can actually say to them, this is the problem that we're having to face all the time, and this is, I think, for all of us, one of the reasons, and for I think any entrepreneur looking at emerging markets in Africa, it's that issue that is with infrastructure and the sort of controlling elements that are in the tech industry in emerging markets, which are sort of the carriers and a few ISPs, and they sort of seem to hold on to a bit of an oligopoly when it comes to digital connectivity. So in terms of obstacles, those are the sort of ones that we've encountered the most.